Yo! Welcome back to my Fire Emblem 8 0% Growths Reverse Recruitment LTC. I'm Osfe, and today we're going to be looking at Chapter 8. So, Chapter 8 is actually the last chapter before the route split, and as such we have some inventory management to do before the chapter starts. The most notable of which being cleaning out Myr's inventory, since once the route split starts and we go to Ephraim Route, we're actually going to lose access to her inventory until the routes converge again in Chapter 15. So we just got to make sure we get out all the items we're going to need from her inventory. Something else that was notable is we used our first stat booster, and that was given to Syrene, the Draco Shield. Things like the Draco Shield that boost our defensive stats just make enemy phases a lot more reliable, as you'll soon see. With the Draco Shield in particular, it's going to allow us to take 2 less damage anytime we're in physical combat. It's going to take 2 less damage per attack for any physical attack. And we are immediately going to see how that kind of boosts our survivability and reliability in the upcoming enemy phase. So Syrene is going to be opening up the chest room on the right and taking on 3 Armor Knights with an Armorslayer, and as you'll see, she's going to be left with exactly 6 HP after she gets hit by all 3 of them. And so without that Draco Shield, they would perfectly do enough damage to kill her. So it's just kind of a nice little demonstration of how kind of important a Draco Shield can be. You'll also notice she just got her S rank in swords, which is another little, I guess, side objective we've been working on. I haven't really mentioned too much. As our premier combat unit for all of the early game and a good portion of the mid game, having that 5% boost to our hit and crit when using swords is going to be pretty important for some boss kills upcoming in particular. It also just makes, enemy phases where she's seeing a lot of combat and she's attacking a lot just a bit more reliable in general, so that was a nice little objective to have completed. As you may have seen, the main strat for this map is going to be rushing up the right side with most of our units, and pretty much completely ignoring the left side. While there are some pretty useful items in the 2 chests in the left room, they're not super crucial. The Elysian Whip, I guess, would be the most helpful, giving us access to 1 extra promoted flyer, but as you'll see later on, it's not super useful. We're still going to get an Elysian Whip by the time Cormag is ready to promote anyways, and the other flyers aren't super important to promote. Someone who is very important to promote, on the other hand, is Amelia, who we will also be trying to get as much XP onto as possible. You may have noticed in a lot of the Seas maps, we spent a lot of time doing rescue chains, rescue drop chains, to get our, lower move units like Myr and Tethys in particular, to basically allow them to keep up with our higher move units like Syrene and Cormag. However, once our Lord becomes Amelia, and especially once we get her promoted to a Paladin, her pretty good move is going to make those more complicated rescue chains just not as important, I guess. She's more than capable of keeping up with our other, 7 and 8 move units. We're still going to need to ferry around Tethys quite a bit, but only having to focus on, moving 1 unit around instead of 2 is going to be pretty nice. So, yeah, getting her up to promotion is going to be pretty important. Another side objective we'll be working on and have been working on in previous maps is spamming staves with La Rochelle. Getting her, she's not really going to get to promotion just because of how low of a level she starts at and how slowly you gain experience as a staff user. But getting her up to B staves is still going to allow her to do some pretty important things later on in the run, once we get access to more movement staves like Rescue and Warp. The upcoming boss kill on Tirado is going to be one of the first less reliable kills. Once we get into, pretty much past this point, a lot of the bosses are going to start getting a lot more difficult to kill, and as such, our boss kills are going to become, you know, a lot less reliable. I mean, I wouldn't say a lot less reliable, it's just a lot harder. They're going to have, you know, a lot higher defense and resistance, especially when they get thrown bonuses like Tirado, and avoid as well, so... You know, boss kills are going to be a little less reliable. I'll do my best to point out, you know, when that happens. For Tirado in particular, getting that S rank on swords for Syrene is going to be pretty important for killing him. We're going to be killing him with an Armorslayer crit. She just needs to crit 1 of 2 attacks and she doubles him, which has about a 10% chance of success, so not the most unreliable kill, but, you know, less reliable than other kills up to this point. And that's just because of his super high avoid and, you know, much higher defense. Other options I considered for killing Tirado was just doubling with Syrene, not relying on an Armorslayer crit, and then finishing him off with someone else, but our other damage options, like Sale and Ewan, are not the best. They don't really do too much damage because of his insane, you know, 5 res thrown bonus, so I ended up settling on this kill instead. But yeah, that was Chapter 8 in 4 turns. On to the route split. So like I said, we are going to be going Ephraim Route. Once we hit the route split, the game is actually going to be picking up in difficulty a little bit. Some of the maps are tougher, boss kills, as I mentioned, are going to be harder, so things are getting interesting. I guess I'll say that. But yeah, that's it. Peace.